everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're starting a new series on my channel today. I'm so excited! Honestly, this has been a series that I have been wanting to get to for years on the channel. I don't know if you know, but Wotakoi, I hope I'm saying that right, Wotakoi, Love is Hard for an Otaku, was a series that was recommended to me back like 4 years ago, back in 2021, that I should watch. And it's been on polls before. It has gotten second place on polls many times, actually. And it's always been a bridesmaid. And I was like, well, one day I'll get to it. One day it'll win a poll. And this month is the month. So the last series that I watched on this time slot for Sundays, I put a poll out on Patreon because most of my shows, if you want to recommend shows to me, you can, but most of them are decided by my Patreon. So if you want to get on my Patreon, you can go support there. It's just $1 to vote in the poll. So it's not like I'm not going to break the bank or anything, but and it gets you Discord access and fun stuff like that. And the Patreon commissions, you do get a week before everybody else, even if you're just on the dollar poll. But anyway, so there was a poll about romance shows for me to watch, and this one came in first with 20 votes over the others. There was about 266 votes for it, but this one came in first, and I'm finally glad that I get to see it. It's only 11 episodes, and I think there's some OVAs after it, which I'll watch. I'm not going to watch any live action stuff. That's not how this channel usually works. I'm into the manga, I'm into the anime, all that fun stuff, but I am excited to watch this anime and see what it is about because it's been recommended for a while. And even when I was watching other shows, they're like, oh, will you give Wotakoi a chance? And I was like, yeah, if it's back on the polls, and here we are. So to the second place show, The Flagrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. I am sure I will get to it eventually, don't you worry, but I'm excited to get to this show today. So if you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Romania Black. I am a teacher, I'm a speech coach, and I'm also a nerd. So I started this channel back in 2020 during the pandemic to talk about anime and manga because I don't really have any friends or family other than my brother that like anime and manga. So I've extended on to donghua and dongmai and manhwa, but I primarily do that. I analyze, I talk about it, I like long form content, and I just really like being enthusiastic and being a fangirl and just being unapologetic in my opinions. So there you go. So if you enjoy this video, please make sure to like it. You can feel free to subscribe to the channel. That helps the algorithm. And leave a comment. Now, I'm probably going to have a mod for this series, so please try not to spoil me if something's going to happen later on in the series. Just spoiler tag it so I don't immediately see it. But my mods will flag anything that's a spoiler, and that way I don't answer those. But I love to answer comments and talk to you all about the shows, so I'm excited to chat about these characters, about the situations, and all that. So fun stuff ahead. But yeah, as I normally do on my channel, there is a link in the description down below that you can watch the reaction fully, and then we come back and we talk about it here, just so the YouTube bots aren't annoying and so that you get a full-length reaction. So fun times with that. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what this show is going to be about. I have an idea. Love is hard for an otaku. That means an otaku is involved with this. My brother is definitely an otaku. He's a gamer. He also likes Gundams and mechs, and he also likes harem manga. So I feel like he goes into the otaku category. I feel like I am the more fujoshi category, or whatever, the female that likes yaoi manga. That's the category I am in, primarily. But I do feel like I could be, if I'd been born a man, I probably would have been an otaku label. But I mean, who knows? Maybe this main character is a woman who's an otaku. We'll see. Who knows? The only thing I've seen about this show is a picture of a pink-haired girl. That's all I know. That's literally it. I go in blind to these reactions and just see what we get. So anyway, we're going to go down below in the link and do the reaction, and then we're going to come back up and talk about it. I am watching this on Amazon Prime, so there is a advertisement at some point in this episode. I will edit that out so you won't see it. So, but if you wonder why it jumps really quick, probably from an advertisement. So let's get this party started, and we are going to watch the first episode of Wotakoi, Love is Hard for an Otaku, and we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1. Okay. I love that Amazon was like, we will just skip the ED. I'm like, you never skip the ED on the first episode unless there's spoilers, but this is a romance. So, Okay, all right, interesting. I definitely want to talk about this episode and kind of just preconceived notions about the characters, about what I think about the characters. I want to talk a little bit about the voice actors for the characters, which are interesting. The only thing that I'm looking up with it is knowing that this series came out in the manga form starting in 2014, which is like a 10-year-old manga at this point, which is crazy. But so it started out in 2014 and ran until 2021. There are 11 volumes of the manga, so obviously 11 episodes are not going to cover the entirety of the manga, although there are 3 OVAs that came out after this, so I don't want to know yet. So if you are commenting, spoiler tag this if you are commenting this. I don't want to know yet what all the manga covers up to. I will ask the mods about that as we get closer, and then after the OVAs, we'll see about looking at the manga and things like that, because 11 volumes isn't too crazy, and it's actually finished. So whenever there's a manga series that is finished, I'm more apt to looking at it afterwards than one that's ongoing, because then you never know when it's going to end. But so if you got manga things, just spoiler tag those for now, or we'll tackle them when we look at the manga. So there's that. But anyway, so this series, Love is Hard for an Otaku, is written by Fujita. I tried to look up Fujita to know as a mangaka, because I want to know if Fujita was a male writer or a female writer. Not that that matters, but it always, like, I like to inform myself a little bit about the mangaka, but I couldn't really find anything about them other than that they've wrote, like, since Wotakoi, they've done a series that's related to a Vocaloid song. That's the only thing I could find out about them particularly. So we'll just wait and see about that. But so I want to talk about our main characters, voice actors. First of all, there is Narumi, or Naru's voice actress. What I kind of like is that our main 2 characters, Hirotaka, which I'm going to call Hiro, and Narumi, or Naru, their voice actors are relatively young, new voice actors to the scene. This series was actually one of her, like, earlier, kind of in the middle of her career. She started voice acting in 2013. So Naru's voice actress started voice acting in 2013. She's not been in anything that I've watched other than this series. My brother likes Honkai Star Rail, and she was recently in that video game, which is interesting because it's about otakus. So there's that. But she's a relatively, like, does not have a lot in her filmography, and she's good in this. I like her voice so far for the character. It fits really well. But I find it funny that her voice actress, as well as Heroes, are relatively new voice actors, and then the other 2 characters, our bespectacled Hana, and then the other guy, are voiced by veteran voice actors. So that's really interesting. But yeah, Heroes voice actor, this was actually his second anime he ever did. He was on an Idolmaster side M in 2017. And then this was his second role, which he's pretty good so far. I want to make note, he's been in series that I have been recommended but have not been able to see, such as Oshinoko and Mashali and Twilight Out of Focus. He's been in a lot of what I assume to be BL series, where he's been in Twilight Out of Focus, and then The Titan's Bride, which I've heard of, Fire in His Fingertips, which I've heard of. Those are all yaois. So I'm like, it's funny that this voice actor, who at the time is voicing a character that is clearly wanting to date Naru, who is into yaoi, ends up later on voicing yaoi characters. So I just find that very interesting. I find that really, really funny to me. And then you have the voice actress for Hana, who is Miyuki Sawashiro, which I'm like, okay, which, oh, by the way, the voice actress for Naru is Arisa Date, and then Kent Ito plays Hirotaka. So just FYI on that. But Hana's voice actress is Miyuki Sawashiro, which has been voice acting since 1999. Girl has been voice acting for 25 years at least. And she's been in so many things, which I was like, okay, cool. I'm trying to look on here and see if there's anything that I recognize, because there's a lot on here that I was like, oh, I've not seen that yet, but I've heard of it. Recently, if we go down into like, she's been in so many things. Angel Beats, I've heard of that one. Dead Man Wonderland, okay. All right. She's also been in Space Brothers. She's been in, God, there's so many on here. I'm like trying to see if things, Psychopaths. Oh, she's Shion in Psychopaths. Okay, that's where that voice, I was like, that voice did sound familiar. She's Shion in Psychopaths. Okay, cool. I was like, I recognized her voice and I was like, where have I heard it before? She's also been in, unfortunately, the Berserk remake. She's been in One Piece. She's been in a whole lot of things. Recently, if there's anything, she's been in Demon Slayer. Cool. So yeah, so she's been voice acting for a long time, which is awesome. And then the voice actor, the voice actor for our deep voiced character, which I was like, what? Who plays Kabakura, his name I'm gonna have to get down. Kabakura, the redhead, I was not expecting his voice to be nearly that deep, so I was like, oh, thrown off at first. He's been voice acting since 2000, so literally 25 years. And he's been in Bobo. Oh my gosh, love it. He's been in Gintama. He's been in Bakano and Bleach. Oh, he's Kinsei Muguruma in Bleach. Okay. All right, he's been Sergeant Frog. He's been in a ton of things, y'all. He's been in a lot of things too. Definitely. Oh, he was Marlowe in Attack on Titan. Okay. Okay. That voice checks out. I get that now. Has he been in anything really recently? In My Hero Academia. Okay, he's that character. I don't want to say it because it's a spoiler. He also has been in Tokyo Revengers, Trigun. Oh, he's Chuck Lee in Trigun Stampede. Okay. All right. He's been in Demon Slayer, Kaiju number 8. He's been in a lot of things that are new. Oblivion Battery, I've been recommended that a lot. He's in the Ranma 1/2 remake. This man is keeping busy. This man's in like 20 things for 2025 alone. That's insane. Man is an insanely busy voice actor. So, okay. Crazy. Cool. Nice to know. Damn, his 2024. In 2024 alone, y'all, he was in 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 23, 24, 25, 26. He was in 27 anime in 2024 alone. Dear God, this man is busy. Okay, cool. Which he has a nice voice, so understandable. So those are the voice actors of our main 4. Good to know. Nice. I am intrigued by this series. I'm very intrigued because Naru is such an interesting subversion of the goody two-shoes little girl office lady going to her job. She's such an interesting subversion of that. Her and the main 2 have traits that are so intriguing and traits that are so relatable, but they're also, in a very vague sense, they're kind of unlikable in a little tiny way. And you're just like, which the way I interpret that is that they are characters who are flawed, and there are lots of ways that they could help each other improve as people. And I think that's something that this series is going to focus on, is helping them to improve as people, because there are aspects, especially of Naru, that I was like, girl, I'm like, maybe you're the common denominator. I was like, ooh, okay. I can relate to Naru a lot. Fellow Taurus girl. She has a lot of tendencies that I was like, oh, can relate. I definitely relate to, I have like 4 alarms set on my phone every day. I am a heavy sleeper. There are times when I sleep through my alarms. Normally my dogs are actually my alarm. They will get me up to take them out in the mornings because they're like, we got to go out. But sometimes if it's raining or something, they will not wake me up and I will sleep through my alarms and I will be late for work. And luckily my supervisor is like, it's okay. Thank God I don't have a morning class to teach or I'd be in trouble. But I relate to her a lot. And so we find out that she has moved to a new place close to work to get a new job, get settled in her apartment. She's super cute. I love her aesthetic. I like the red on red on red, Narumi Momose. And she's an outgoing and energetic office worker. Sure, she's outgoing and energetic. I mean, she is, in a way. She has a very bubbly personality. But she talks about having bad luck, right? And she's like, starting from today, I don't want anyone at the office to find out about my secret and to be on time. Well, she has bad luck because neither of those things come true. So yeah. And so we go past the intro and we get to her starting her job, which we automatically start with Hanako Koyanagi, who is her coworker, who is very pretty. I like Hana's aesthetic. I like the green hair, very Sailor Pluto vibes, digging it a lot. These characters, the way that they are drawn and the way that they're animated remind me a lot of Nozaki-kun, which was honestly the first series I ever reacted to on my channel. I had to restart my channel in December of 2020. I started it in May of 2020, and then I had a bunch of slam dunk manga reviews and a bunch of YouTube bots crashed my channel because of them. So if you want to read Slam Dunk, you got to go to Patreon. But unfortunately, I was a baby YouTuber and did not realize that you had to back up your work. And so my Nozaki-kun reactions are just gone. They're just done. But I did react to the series. So there you go. And so, yeah. This series reminds me a little bit of it in a good way. I like the character designs. I wondered, and this is just a very kind of shallow remark, I wondered if the mangaka was a man only because of the comment about Hana's boobs. That was the only reason I was questioning it, is because for in the sense of Naru being into yaoi, you would be like, well, why does she care about the boobs then? Because she's more into like the yaoi stuff and she's clearly attracted to guys. So why make the comment about the boobs unless it was like a male mangaka? So I was like, I don't know. Is this a shoujo? Is Wotakoi a shoujo? I'm curious. It is considered, no, it's a, what is it considered? I want to go back here. It says romantic comedy, but I'm like, but is it a josei? Like say, is it a shoujo? It's a josei. Okay. So it looks like a shoujo, but is a josei. I want to look into, I've not looked at a lot of josei as a genre, so I kind of want to look into a little bit of that when talking with you all. So josei is known as ladies comics. It's a category of Japanese comics emerged in the 1980s. In a strict sense, josei refers to manga marketed to an adult audience of adult women, contrasting shoujo, which is marketed to an audience of girls and young adult women. Let me tell you, for being marketed to a group of younger women, shoujo can be freaking dark and freaking serious. So yeah, interesting. In practice, the distinction between shoujo and josei is often tenuous. While the two were initially divergent categories, many manga works exhibit narrative and stylistic traits associated with both. It's further complicated by a third manga editorial category, young ladies, which emerged in the late 1980s as an intermediate category between shoujo and josei. Okay, interesting. It's traditionally printed in dedicated manga magazines, which specialize in specific subgenres, drama, romance, or pornography. While josei dramas are, in most cases, realistic stories about the lives of ordinary women, romance josei are typically soap opera-influenced melodramas, while pornographic josei mangas share many common traits with manga for heterosexual male audiences. Interesting. Interesting. I'm very curious about that, but we're not going to get too much into that here. So this is a josei. Okay. Which is fine. I'm in my mid-30s, so I'm all about having a more mature story. But I was just curious about if the mangaka was a man or a woman, because if you're not going anywhere with Narumi being attracted to Hana, then why point that out? I don't know. I mean, you see women around with different boob sizes, but it's just felt odd to call it out. But that's my only thing with the episode, really. So yeah, so we have these two guys. So all four of them are, well, we don't know about Kabakura yet. We don't know about him, but we know at least 3 of these characters are secret otakus, which honestly, Hana's cosplay ability on point, because I would not have recognized Hana as the one character with the wig on point. Love it. So they've both been to cosplay events, and we find out that Naru and Hiro are both childhood friends that have ended up, what I think is really interesting about this series and what I like from the get-go is that they're childhood friends. They haven't seen each other since middle school, but they both have been playing in this online game, and that's how they've reconnected and they've maintained that friendship. And now that they're face to face, that interaction is on a different level. And I kind of like the discussion in this series about that sort of social distancing, where they've been able to maintain this kind of friend zone because they've been separated, distanced because of work and where they live. So the opportunity and possibility of them being in a romantic relationship has not really been on the table because it couldn't be, but now it is a possibility. And Hiro is smooth. Hiro is smooth being like, oh, I'm just your assistant. You know, I'm here to... Everything he described in that last monologue, I was like, that's a declaration and a confession of love, sir, that you want to date her. But you know that she's going to say no. So you're like, I'm just your assistant helping you. When it's like, dude should know that he's basically asking her out. And they're doing like a dating trial run in this situation. So she's afraid that he's going to out her as an otaku, which he kind of does. Kabakura does not seem to understand what's... I kind of would like it if Kabakura was the odd guy out that's not an otaku and he's just brought into this world through Hana and through the other two. I would kind of like that. But yeah, so these guys going out, the office culture of just drinking. I'm not a big beer person, to be honest. So drinking a pint of beer, I don't know. I would just, so much carbs. But yeah, I like them both playing video games at the restaurant with the food and stuff and drinking the beer and just being themselves. They both are kind of, and Hirotaka, he kind of acknowledges it. They're both kind of grouchy people, in a sense, where they both complain a lot and they both around each other are just open, like as open as their unbuttoned top collar of their shirts for work. But they're both very open about what bothers them, what bugs them. They're very natural around each other. So what I kind of like is in a lot of romances, you have two characters that have a crush on each other and they put up these walls and they're not themselves. And then the trick is to kind of get them to take down the walls and be who they are around one another. You've kind of already gotten past that in this because they both know each other so well from playing the game and being childhood friends that there's really not any mystery about each other. And so usually the element of a romance that's the mystery is kind of gone. So now it's just down to this bare bones exposed, here's who we are, here's how we be. Is this going to work as a relationship or do we need to just stay friends? And I definitely get where Naru comes from, where she's like, every guy I've dated has turned out to be a jerk. And so I get why she wouldn't want to date Hiro, because she's like, I don't want to date you and find out you're a jerk and then it ruin our friendship. Right? But the thing is, I don't think Hiro's a jerk. So I don't think she's going to find that out. And I think she's just, like many people do, they get stuck with a type. Both men and women get stuck with a type and they think that's the only type that they're going to attract. And so it limits them to being able to open up and date the person that would be good for them. Which honestly, from this episode alone, I'm like, girl, Hiro is your type. He does not care about your complaining. He does not, like, he complains too, so you both can complain to each other. He's willing to stay after work with you. He is very nonchalant, go with the flow, and you are a traditional Taurus. It's like on things until you're not. And so I'm like, you guys kind of are meant for each other, but she doesn't think that that's the case. And I don't know. I was like, girl, when she said that she doesn't want to date otakus, I'm like, girl, just admit that you're an otaku and you can date otakus. It's fine. But I kind of get it because there's a part of me that likes the idea of my partner, should I have one, to be opposite of me. Because, you know, you always kind of want to have someone that's going to present new things to you, ways of learning. And I don't know. There is a sense of if you get too comfortable with that person, does it get boring? You know, at least if it's somebody different than you in terms of like what they're interested in, you can always learn from them. But there is a comfort of a person relating to you in activities where you guys can both share in those same interests and have things to talk about. So relationships are hard, y'all. Relationships are hard and navigating them is hard, right? But she's like, if you let anyone find out I'm an otaku, I'll tell everyone about you. And he's like, I don't care if they know. This guy's an addicted game otaku. And I don't think the hero cares because he's literally playing the game at work. He does not give a shit, right? He's fine with it. Although, the one thing about Hiro I wish he wouldn't do is smoke because it's not good for your health. And I'm like, I hate the smell of cigarette smoke. So smoking would be a deal breaker for me as someone. I'd be like, But here's the thing. If she told Hiro to stop smoking, I think he would. I think he legit would, or he'd find an alternative. But she's sitting there going, otaku aren't popular. And he's like, I don't really want to be popular. And she's like, but why? She's like, don't you have a girlfriend? And he's like, no. So she, again, I like the subversion of her character. You have our main love interest. Like normally in a romance, even if it was a BL romance, like even in like Cherry Magic, for example, which I've been reading and watching on my channel, they're usually the male love interest or the masculine or the top or the like that side of the equation, even though I like when manga subvert that, which this one does. Usually that character is the one that has the dating experience and is like the one that's the more, you know, assertive of the two. And then your main character is like the pure virginal, like, oh, I just don't know romance. I've never been in a relationship before. I like the subversion where he's the one that's like, I'm not interested. I've just been playing video games, whatevs. And for her, she's the one that's had the dating experience. She's the one that's more assertive. She's the one that's kind of loud-mouthed and like all up in this. And he's just like, okay, sure. And he's like the more quieter one of the two, which is a nice subversion. But girl, I don't know how this guy's not your type. I don't know how he's not your type. Come on, girl. She's like, right before our first anniversary, he started avoiding me because everyone found out I was an otaku and then he dumped me. But honestly, those people that she's dating, I think in her case, her deliberately trying to find people that aren't otakus like her, they're not worth her time and they end up dumping her because they can't accept her interests. And then here, you have a guy literally right in front of you that is willing to go the distance for you, girl, and doesn't care that you're an otaku. And is like, seems like he would work. I'm like, girl, why? Why are you not accepting this as a thing? Well, because we have a series to go through. That's why. But I like that it gives the possibility of her growing as a character. He's like, well, why don't you find someone who's accepting of the fact that you're an otaku? And she's like, well, that's no good. You're the kind of yaoi fangirl who ignores her own faults. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and then she pushes up the glasses to see what he looks like without them. Dating and games are good enough for me. Honestly, he's super cute. She's like, you're not my type. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I feel kind of bad for Hiro because she's like, man, I could never date you, but glad you're here in my life. And he's like, yep. I feel bad for him. I do. I'm hoping that this series has Naru grow as a character and realize that not only is it okay for her to embrace her being a nerd, but that it's okay to date someone who's also a nerd as well. Because at the end of the day, you need somebody that's going to support you and understand you. And it's okay if they're not an otaku, but if they aren't, then like Hiro says, they need to accept you. And she's like, oh, you're okay, but I don't plan on dating you. This poor guy. It's a good thing he's nonchalant. She's like, making you my boyfriend would be a waste. You're one of my good otaku friends. And then he's instantly like, give me the strongest drink you have. And she's like, who is that guy you're with today? And then he says, she looks tough and cool. Now, Hiro says that he has a girlfriend. But I'm like, does he? Does he have a girlfriend? Because I think that maybe later on he might date Hana. I think that that's what the series is going to imply is going to happen. But I'm like, did Hiro just say that he had a girlfriend to throw her off asking him out because he would be jealous and wouldn't want that? I don't know. I don't think that the guy, Kabakura, is her type anyway. I definitely think he's what she thinks is her type, being opposite of her, but I don't think he's the right to date her. But, you know, I love everybody in this office looks exactly the same, except for them. They're just like all bland haired. But yeah, so he's like, your childhood friend is working hard. And he's like, yeah. So I felt like, again, I feel like Kabakura is testing the waters to see if he could ask her out because he says she's cute and all that. And then when she messes up, he kind of forgives her. And then when Hiro messes up, he's like, really, fix this right now. So I feel like the series is maybe setting up for Kabakura to ask her out, but then something's going to happen that's going to lead him towards Hana and her away from him. I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go. I can relate to that poor copy machine making an error. Can relate. And so then he's like, Kabakura, do you have a thing for childhood friends? And he says, well, yes, I'm jealous of you. All guys like that sort of thing. And Hiro's like, well, I don't. I do feel bad because there were some comments that kind of emasculated Hiro in this episode, like him saying that because you don't have a thing for your childhood friend, you're not a man. And then at one point in the bar, Naru's like, well, you're just like a nerdy game otaku. You're not a man. And I was like, 2014, huh? So I was like, I felt bad for Hiro because I'm like, I feel like in these modern times, our understanding of masculinity needs to be expanded a little bit. And so I felt bad for Hiro. I mean, at least he's chill about it on the outside, but we don't know what he's thinking on the inside, right? We don't know what his internal monologue is. Also, I can relate, though, to Hiro being on the clock for lunch. The moment my lunch hour hits, I can get on Discord, I can get on YouTube, I can get on Twitter, I can do whatever, and it's my lunch hour, so it is what it is. I feel like a lot of people are like, I work through lunch, and I'm like, I don't. They're paying me to have a lunch hour, so that's what I'm going to do. But I appreciate Hiro is very serious about his lunch hour as well. Although the food he's eating for that lunch hour is pretty basic. Because what does he have there that he's eating? It looked like a Kit Kat. Yeah, it just looked like just like a Nutri-Grain bar or something. And he's like, what is this, school? I don't know. I'm curious. I'm curious to see how Hiro and Naru's characters are going to change as the story goes and how they're going to develop and grow. I'm excited to see that because there's a lot of potential there. But also, so Naru goes see Hana at lunch and looks on her phone to see what she has going on. And she had noticed that Hana had reacted when they mentioned like the event that was going on the next summer. So she says there, what is she doing here? She's like, I have to choose my words and my actions carefully. And then she looks down and she sees the cosplay photo that is being taken. Wow, she pulls it off really, really well. Nice. I also like the idea that Hana is cosplaying as like, what did she say? Is it a male character that she's cosplaying as? She says Miss Hana. Oh, so it's a female character that just looks like a man. Interesting. She's like, oh, sorry for interrupting suddenly. I saw a photo of someone I know and I couldn't help myself. She's so handsome even though she's a girl. Okay. Yeah. So... yeah, she's a character from... now, the book was R18, so I was like, oh, is this like an adult book? Interesting. Interesting. And then they both realize that they're characters from the same cosplay event. Now, Naru has changed her name where she is no longer the former character, and she like bites her lip so much that it bleeds. That was a great shot. But... they decide that they'll just call her Miss Hana and Miss Naru. That's what they're going to call each other. And so I like that they bond in this episode. Super cute. Love it. Also, I like that Hana is... I like how unapologetic Hana is. She's like a cosplayer. And she's like, yeah, it's interesting. Hana and Kabakura's characters are both very sure of themselves. They're like, yeah, we're pretty sure of how our personalities are, and they're voiced by veteran voice actors. And then you have the youthful voice actors that are pretty fresh into it, voicing these two characters who don't quite seem... I mean, Hiro seems more comfortable in himself than Naru does, but at the same time, they both have some insecurities that they're like bubbling under the surface, right? Yeah, I think Kabakura thinks that she's cute, but then we do get a little bit of Hiro's inner monologue where he is wistfully thinking about how when they were kids, she would lead him around, and now she's still doing the same thing. She's leading him around only as an adult instead of as a kid. And you know what? He's nice, and he sticks around and waits for her to get done with her work, which is cute. I like that. He's like, she's going to probably complain to me, but then again, so will I. We never get tired of complaining. Maybe they'll complain less around each other when they, acknowledge that they like each other. But yeah, he ended up sticking around and waiting on her to get done with her work. I did, he doesn't offer to help her with the work, which is good, but I like that he sticks around waiting on her. Poor mouse is about to die. But yeah, I really like this so far. I think it's interesting. Their dynamic is neat. They definitely are both two kind of antisocial nerds, and so there's room for them to grow as characters, which I'm excited about. And I'm curious to see what this series is going to do with them. So, at the end of the episode, if I can get to it, if my mouse will decide to work, which it is dying as I talk to you all, as it is going, our characters decide that to plan for this event, he's going to be her assistant and help her get ready for it, which sounds fun. I'm sure that in no way, shape, or form it will build up their relationship to be, build up their relationship to be potential partners, not just as for this event, but also in the dating scene. So we'll see. I'm going to replace this mouse real quick. But yeah, so I like that this series is building up a lot between them. And so at the bar when they sit there, they're considered as a couple and they're both like, "Oh no, we're not boyfriend and girlfriend." I've hung out with other men before in public and people have thought we were dating, but the way that they handle it, I felt kind of bad for Hero because you could just be like, "Oh no, we're just friends," but she kind of takes it as a joke. And, whenever somebody jokes about that, like, us, boyfriend, girlfriend, I should never. It's like, girl, do you really want to be boyfriends with him? And you're just like trying to come off as tsundere? But man, her friend zoning so hard. I feel for Hero. And she says, my ex-boyfriend, started dating a new girl as soon as we broke up. She's like, why do I always make the wrong choice? So I guess maybe she's admitting that she knows she's the common denominator in this. But Hero's just kind of like, well, you never take the wrong route in dating sims. And she's like, I know, right? And so he's like, what do you want me to say? He's like, I'm right here in front of you and you don't want to date me. So how can I help you? And then I thought she was going to talk to him about Hana, but that doesn't seem to be what the case is. Instead, she's trying to find this thing in this game that he happens to have two of. He can't just give her one, And they talk about what they're going to do for this event coming up. She's like, you've been a big help. I'm glad to have you. And he's like, well, then how about me? Are you stupid? I like that he calls her Baka. I love it. She's like, what do my boobs have to do with this? What indeed? He's like, I would collect materials and level up with you whenever you want. I'm like, this was a declaration, like a confession. If you had to work overtime, I would wait for you. I wouldn't disappoint you or make you cry. And I make sure you'd never say that you made the wrong choice. And I can go with you to the next event weekend as your sales assistant. I'm like, the dude's practically confessing to date you. And she's like, oh, we'll be partners. Awesome, that works. And she's like, and thus the two otaku started dating. Whether they want to admit that that's what it is or not. Love it. Love it. So yeah, I am honestly excited to see how this series develops their relationship. I'm really excited to see how Kabakura gets involved with all of them because he seems to be the odd man out right now. But by the ED and OP, he's going to get involved. It's just a matter of how. So that's going to be interesting. So I want to know your thoughts down below about your initial first impressions with these two characters. What you thought about them, about the whole friend zoning situation, about the otaku situation. Obviously, Naru does not look like an otaku, so her trying to hide this about herself is understandable, but also I'm like, girl, just embrace it at this point. Just embrace it. So we're going to see how that works. But in any case, I'm excited. I hope you all are as well. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, we're going to see what happens next week with episode 2 of Wotakoi. Love is hard for an otaku.